All right, guys, welcome to a brand new video. And today we're going to be breaking down day trading basics. This is going to be for newcomers into day trading. Before you consume my content in regards to core concept, it is very important that you go through trading basics. This is going to be like a crash course for newbie or new trader. If you don't understand what trading is, you have no idea what, asset to trade or whatsoever, this will be the video that you need to watch from literally from beginning to end, because before you go into any sort of avenue trying to learn any sort of like new concept online, you need to understand what is trading. How do I even do analysis? What is a candle? What is a chart? Like those little details and things in nature, like we're going to break this down in this video. This is going to be a little bit long, but it's going to be important to ensure that you understand how to navigate the trading space if you're very much a new beginner. So with that said, let's go over the first topic for this crash course, or I guess the overview. We are going to be breaking down the commodity or the type of asset that you can trade when you are a day trader or swing trader. We're going to talk about all those different things. We're going to talk about opening up a demo account, because if you are going to be practicing, you need to understand how to open a demo account, right? You don't want to even look at creating a live account yet, because we're going to just train you on how to create and then practice first, right? Because you need to understand how to do those things. We're going to talk about the different tools that's going to be utilized to be able to make the analysis, because here we're going to just teach you how to do the analysis. Before you even look at trading or placing a position, you need to first analyze the chart, right? How do you analyze the chart? You need to have a few tools in your disposal that can allow you to do so. So we're going to go over that. Time frame is going to be a very critical component of your analysis, understanding how to switch in between different time frame and what are time frame on your chart. That's going to be important. Next up, we're going to go over indicators. It's going to be very, very brief. Candle anatomy, right? What are the components of a candle? What is that comprised of? Like, we're going to go over that. A trend, I'm going to show you how to objectively define what is a trend, right? And then I'm going to talk about the different type of trend phase or market phases. That's going to be what we're going to go over. And then last but not least, we're going to go over how to place a position, a buy and a sell position, which are the two type of position that you can place on your chart. That's the quick overview. Next up, let's go over the different type of commodity. Now, the main four commodity, and there might be more to trade, but I'm really going to only focus on the most popular for day trader, scalper, and swing trader. You're going to have Forex. And now I'm going to go and expand a little bit on each of these, right? When you're trading Forex, you're trading currency, right? Forex is essentially an abbreviation and a combination of two words, right? Foreign exchange, for short, Forex. Forex is probably one of the most liquid market out of all four options here. Some people will tell you that one commodity is better than the other one. Really, if you're trading on Forex, or you build your strategy essentially on, I would say, on the future space, because that will be the one that we're going to go over next, you're going to see how it does not really matter if you have a very strong edge that you have already backtested, unless, let's say, for example, it's on the stock market, then it's a little bit different. But if you trade like some sort of indices, right, like something like NASDAQ, ES, US 30, or I would say YM, you don't really have to worry too much. Now, when you start navigating towards stocks, it might be a little bit more tricky, because they might not correlate necessarily, or you might not find the underlying asset across multiple or different commodity. So if you trade Forex, if you trade option, if you trade future, a lot of the time you can find similar asset that fall under those same commodity. Forex is going to be foreign exchange if you're trading some type of currencies. Some of the example, you're going to have EU, right? Euro USD. So I'm going to have a list up here of the different type of asset that you can trade in the Forex. You can trade, for example, NAS100. You can trade S&P 500. You can trade Euro USD. That's an example. You can trade GBP USD. You can trade USD JPY. You can trade AUD USD. You can trade the CAD versus the dollar. So there are many currency that you can trade, right? You're essentially trading one currency against the other. So when you're looking at a specific chart, that's what they will represent. It'll be one currency versus another currency, and that is what will be Forex. Next up, options. I really do not trade option, and I really wouldn't recommend anybody to really start off there. One of the reasons why is because you have a lot of something called Greeks. So the risk is really not fixed per se. So it's a lot of learning curve when it comes down to identifying how to calculate risk. Next up, I'm going to go over future. This is actually my favorite one. One of the reasons why I love futures market as opposed to, let's say, Forex and options, I'm going to go over the pros and the cons. One of the biggest advantage with future is that the risk is actually fixed, right? So if I'm risk a specific amount, I actually know exactly how much I'm risking, and there's no ifs or buts, right? I know exactly whatever I'm putting in is how much I'm going to be losing. With option, it's a little bit different, right? If the contract that you're purchasing or taking over expire faster or lose more value, there's a lot of things that can impact the value of that, and that can impact your risk. So you can lose slightly more, slightly less compared to what you are risking. That's one thing that you need to really be paying attention when you're going into the route of trading options. But there are a lot of people that are very profitable trading that and then, developing that learning curve. But you need to just be aware. With futures, the other thing that I like a lot trading future is that everything is centralized. Now, the contrast with Forex is that with Forex, you have a decentralized market. In the Forex world, you are operating like in the wild, wild west, right? It's a democratized environment where if you go onto one brokerage, they will have maybe the specific type of data, especially when you go on a lower and lower time frame and some middle time frame. You just need to be aware of that. So that means that if you're backtesting a strategy, especially on a very lower time frame, and it works really well, let's say for example on Oenda, which is one of the more reputable brokerage, and you want to go to a completely unrelated brokerage overseas or something along those lines and trying to test your strategy, you're going to find potentially major differences in terms of the performance because the data are not the same. The data here could have given you the illusion that you actually had an edge there, but when you go and essentially try to test it in a different brokerage, you might not see the same result, or you might see some minor differences in things of nature. Now, when you're trading future, everything goes through the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Then the CME ensure that all the data that goes into all brokerages that trades future literally are the same. Meaning that if I place a position on my brokerage and you place a position on yours, or when we trade future, we literally will have the same feel. There are no spread whatsoever. Another thing, a reason why I don't really like trading Forex as much as future is because if I place a position within Forex, you're always going to be negative because of spread, right? Some brokers have more spread compared to other, depending also on the account type that you select to work with. That also plays a major role. And obviously stocks, if you trade stocks, one of the biggest reason why I really don't like stocks trading is because you need to typically have a larger capital to get in the game. Most stockbroker will require you to have, I think, about $25,000 or more. Now, with the way that technology is moving nowadays, it might actually be a less of a requirement for people to begin trading stock, but you just have a higher requirement for people to begin trading and having the ability to engage with the stock market, trading stock. So that would be the breakdown. And the reason why I would recommend, highly, highly recommend you pick future as your starting point if you're a day trader or a scalper. Now, if you're a swing trader or maybe somewhat of a position trader, maybe other asset might be better. I'm not a swing trader. I'm primarily a day trader and a scalper. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next section. We're going to go over TradingView and I'm going to show you exactly how to open a demo account. All right, currently we are on the chart. It doesn't really matter what chart that we are on. First of all, I'm going to go over the different commodity again, just so you can see. If you're on TradingView, here you can see all the different commodity, right, that you list here. You have stocks, you have fund, you have futures, you have Forex, you have crypto, you have indices, bond, economy option. Just keep that in mind. There are a lot more commodity out there that you can essentially trade from. So what we're going to want to focus on today is how do we open an account? I want you to go over here on the top left corner of the chart. You can see the buy and sell button right here, right? I want you to click on either of these two. You can click on either of these two, and then you're going to get this window here that's going to pop up. And also sometimes you can drag the bottom of the screen up, and then you can also get this screen to pop up as well. So once you get this, all you have to do is very, very simple. Is simply go to this right here. It says Pepper Trading, right? And you see a bunch of other brokerage. If you have a live account that's down the line in the future, you should be able to open it up by clicking your brokerage and then selecting it. And you can even show more brokerage. It will give you even way more broker as well. All we need today is to open a demo account. As you can see, it says here, paper trading brokerage simulated by TradingView. So we're going to click on this and we're going to click on connect. And then, ladies and gentlemen, you have created your demo account to trade futures or even Forex. Now we're going to go over to a futures chart. We're going to go to future right here, and then we're going to click on NQ. All right, perfect. Now that we're on NQ, So this is essentially our chart. And now we are currently, like I said, you can drag this up. As you can see, I have some balance here. Now let's take a look at our demo account. When you open your paper trading account, you can go in here. You can see some of the detail. If you want to log out of it, you can click here to log out. You will see the balance, the position. If you open a position on this, you will see the position fluctuate here. All the previous order that you have taken will also show here, or currently working, or even pending. You see your order history here. All the trade that you ever taken on your demo account will be here. Your balance history will also be here. Your overall balance, the trade that you have taken, win, loss, P&L, all that good stuff, and trading journal. This will simply record the journal, like whenever you executed a position, whenever a position was canceled, if you went through, and so on and so forth. And then here would simply be the username. Typically, the demo account username will be tied to the username of your trading view. So that's that. Now, if you're setting up a TradingView account, this is not a video to talk about how to set up a TradingView account. I truly believe that's very much self-explanatory. I'll highly recommend you have a premium account version for TradingView. Trading do cost some money, so I would highly recommend making sure if you're getting involved with the trading, you at least are able to make sure that you can afford the tool to be able to trade professionally. Because remember, you're trying to treat this as a profession, not as a hobby. So I will not get the minimum basics, membership. You want to get the premium at least, which is the mid tier or slightly the high tier, slightly above the mid tier. And that will give you the ability to access different tools and add multiple indicator on your chart and so on and so forth. So you want to be able to have that ability. And if you create script or you want to be able to access someone else's script and then put them on your chart and then utilize them, you're going to need a premium version, somewhat of a premium version to be able to access that, but you're not going to be able to with some type of free or basics option. It's going to be very tough. Now, with that said, that's how you open a demo account. And this is essentially where you find a demo account, right? You just simply, when you open it up, you definitely be able to see that bottom line here, this line right on the bottom of the screen. You just click this, drag it up, and then you should be able to see your entire screen. If you want to place a position, you simply click on the button right here, trade, and then you will be able to either do a market order, limit order, stop order. All right. I'm going to go over this, how to place an order like down the line. This is going to be some of the section later on that we're going to go over. So now that you know that, you're not going to need this. So I'm going to go ahead and close it. And then we're going to return back to our presentation to see how we're doing. All right, next up, we're going to go over the different trading tools that I utilize, or I would say the more popular one that are utilized by day trader. And you're going to need to understand these or know how to utilize these. So when you do your analysis, you have a really good grasp of, how to move your chart, how to modify your chart so you can make it move the way you need it to move, and you can display things in a way where it allows you to enhance your visibility on the chart, because candlestick by itself really gives you an idea of what price does, but you still need to have some level of assistance to just help you visualize what price is doing. So let's go over that. First, I want to talk about the different component of the chart, right? So all the way up here, you have some overarching tools. So some of the overarching tool here or section right here will be where you switch up the asset. So if you want to switch up the asset, you come here on top of the screen, top left corner of your screen, right next to this logo right here, which is your username. You click on here, and this will give you the ability to see all the different assets. So if you want to find NASDAQ to trade Forex, you just type NASDAQ, right? And then NASDAQ will pop up. NASDAQ, obviously, you can find NASDAQ on the CME, which is future, or you can find it on the Forex. If you go to Forex, you type NASDAQ, it may not pop up, but if you type NAS, you should be able to see that pop up as well. Let me go ahead, NAS, there you go. So if you type NAS100, you see it pop up. NAS100 is the actual name for NASDAQ on the Forex side of the commodity. And that's how you do it. And then QQQ, I think, is the one for stocks or options. Here's the next step is the time frame. So every candle on the chart, right, takes time to essentially form. It open, close, it open, move up or down, expand, and then close, right? So on here, you can select the time frame within which you want to see that candle display. So if I want to see the chart display a 15-minute candle, I will click on here, and it will give me the ability to see every 15-minute candle that you see on the chart, and every candle on the chart will be a 15-minute candle. If I click on a 5-minute, this is what it will show. Every candle would be a 5-minute. If I click on a 4-hour, every candle on the chart will be a 4-hour, and so on and so forth. You can change the chart here by clicking this button here. If you want to see a line chart, you can click on this. Now you see a line chart. If you click on Heikenhachi, I have heard people utilize Heikenhachi in the past, which is right here. The chart will look like this. It will look like a Heikenhachi chart. However, for me, I use a candle chart. I do not use anything else. People use bar chart, whatever, but we're going to be sticking to candle chart. That's going to allow you to get the best representation of price action. Next up, you have indicators. This is the section where you can see the indicators, and then that's kind of something I'm going to be going over later on. What else? We are going to have also alerts. You can set up alerts by hovering. If you hover straight up, and then let's say price is pushing down, and you want to get an alert whenever it reaches a certain point. See how we're pushing down, and then I'm hovering this all the way to this side right here. I have this little button that says plus right here. You can click on that, and then you can set an alert like that. So I'm going to redo it again if you missed it. This little cursor that I'm hovering over the chart right now, all the way to the right, next to the price action here. If you hover next to it, you can click on the plus button right here, boom, and click add, boom, and you have added alerts. If you want to delete it, you simply hover over that alert, you click on delete, it will delete it. If you hover over the alert right here, in the center, it should show an option to delete it. Then the price level where it's at, and you can click delete. Now, if I want the bar replay, right? If I want to replay price to a specific date or behind, I can click on this button replay, and then it will simply replay it. This is when I want to test my strategy, or maybe I want to test to see if I can cash a specific type of entry. You can do that. If you want to go further in the past, you can select date, right? And then there's multiple options. You can select the option where you simply drag it and click it, and then it will replay it at wherever you stopped it. Or you can simply select the date. If I want to select the date for replaying it, I can go back in the past, maybe select this date right here, and then boom, I'm back to this date that I selected. If I want to even go further in the past, I can keep going back, maybe January 1st. I want to start trading, testing my strategy, maybe going back to January 1st, and then work my way back to the current present, right? You can do that as well here. This is where you would do that. You will play it off this tool, this button right here. Once I'm done, I can click the X button here on the bottom left. If you see this button right here, X right here, and then click leave. Now, if I'm drawing something on a chart, let's say hypothetically, I put something like this. You see this purple line right here? The button next to it right here allows you to go back in actions, right? So if I didn't like this action, but I don't want to delete this, right? But I want to just go back in action. I can simply click this button right here, boom. It just brought the bubble line back up here because this was the last action that I took. Originally, I moved this here and then it moved it back up, right? So I click it again, boom, it moved the action back to where I did before. If I click it again, they would delete it because before that action, I simply added that purple line. So that's essentially how this two button works. Now, if I want to replay back that action, I can simply click the forward button now. It will forward it all the way back to the current action that I had. So that's how you can play around with that. Now I'm going to go over this other tool right here. All the way to the right up corner of the screen, you can see the screenshot option. This screenshot option allows you to either copy the link. If you copy the link, right, to this chart, I can take that link and I can paste it maybe to my journal. And if I click on that link, I will see this exact snapshot of the image of the chart. You can also do downloading image, or you can copy an image. If you copy an image, you can send it to someone, you can send it to yourself, or you can save it to your journal. And you can also download an image. You can download it on my browser, and I can save it in my computer as well. So you have multiple options by clicking this button here to essentially take a snapshot and save this whatever that you have on your chart. So typically, if you finish trading on any trading day, you can snapshot this current whatever version of the chart that you have. Maybe there's an entry there you want to be able to save. So you can capture this moment and then you can review down the line. You can definitely do that. Let me go ahead and actually unlock this. Now, if I want to make my screen, right, where I only see the entire chart, I don't really see the tools, all this thing on the side, right? This button right here is a full screen mode. You can also click Shift and F, and then that will give you the ability to see the entire screen, right? So Shift F, boom. Now I don't see any tools anymore. I don't see where I can change the current price action. All I see is simply this left side of the numbers and the time, right? That's it. If you click Shift F again, it will bring you back, and now you can see everything else. The button trade right here allows you to click and I'll put you an ability to trade. And like we said earlier, you can find that on the bottom option here as well, next to your account size. So let's go ahead and kind of close that. So that's it, right? Now, next up, I want to go over this right here. Think of this like the y-axis, and then think of this bottom right here, the x-axis. On the bottom side of your chart, you will see the time, right? This will represent the time. You will see when the candle essentially begin forming and when a candle previously formed. All that information will be represented here on the bottom. This will capture the time for price, right? And the information on the y-axis right here will capture the price level, right? Where in terms of price point, price is essentially moving. So all that will be predicated on this side of the chart, right? On the far right and on the bottom of the chart, you will see the time. Now, finally, all the way to the extreme left side of the chart, this is where you have all the different tools. Now, for these tools, it's going to be very, very simple. If you click on the first option tools right here, you will see trend line. A trend line, you can click it up and then you can drag it like this by continuously moving wherever you need it to move. I can keep extending it as well by clicking on one of the extreme and extend it like this. Usually it's used to draw trend lines. Like sometimes people want to highlight touch points for price action. They can do that utilizing this. Or maybe if they want to capture just a specific level that price need to break, they can also do this. And then nowadays, you can actually add alerts, right? I can actually add an alert to this touch point right here. So now if price come down and touch this trend line, I can actually get alerted. If I want it to be at this level, I can also do it like this. I can drag it. And if I want to delete it, I can simply press the button delete. Or you can click this option right here, this other tool on the bottom here. I say click remove drawing and it will remove it. Another tool that I like to utilize is a horizontal line. This right here, just pretty much put a horizontal line all the way across. You never see the end of it. It just shows you all the way across from left to right. Another tool I like to utilize is a vertical line. So I'm going to place a vertical line. It also does the same thing from the top to the bottom. There's no end to it. You just draw a line from the bottom to the top. Another tool I like to utilize is also the rectangle. This is a rectangle. So if I have an order block or an area of demand or supply, you can utilize this to draw your demand and supply zone. This is very, very intuitive, non-intrusive on your chart, depending on how you draw it. You need to get really familiar with that because, like I say, tools can make your life very, very easier. Because if you have this already marked out like this, or you learn to just utilize it properly, then if you have a demand zone that you want to highlight in your chart or supply zone, it makes it very easy to come back to it and just know exactly what you're looking at. Arrows is also good to, if you're pointing something, maybe you're documenting something for later on, right? You can point to a specific point and then leave it there. And then just when you have that screenshot saved, although it may not be next to that area that you're making notes, you can use the arrow to point to that zone. And then what else? I like this one. This is a curve. So if I'm showing my entry going from here to maybe a target, then I'll sometimes use the curve right here to kind of highlight that. I like to do that a lot. Some people don't like to do that. So I'll do something like this. And if I have an entry, I'll sometimes do something like this. And I'll just showcase where we are going and where we're heading. Another tool that I like to utilize, we're going to talk a little bit more about this down the line, is a long tool and a sell tool. So the long tool, it simply allows you to place this on the chart. So you can place this like this. And then when you move, this is where you want to essentially be invalidated for your entry. So if I'm placing a long position or buy position, I'll use the long tool, right? A buy position will utilize a long tool, a short position will utilize, or a sell position will utilize a short tool. And then the gray area represent my drawdown and my stop loss limit right here. And then the blue area represent my take profit or limit order, level. Same thing for the sell tool. And then you utilize this to visualize where your entry, stop loss, and take profit will be. Last but not least, text tool. The text tool just allows you to type text. So you can move this around and you can also design how it looks like by clicking on the settings right here. So if I want this to look, and you can design everything, the trend line, everything, you can design the same width and design. You can design the colors of it, you can design the text on it, and everything else in between. You can tweak around with it, and these help you tremendously throughout your analysis, right? Because you need to know how to utilize this so you make your chart looks a lot more cleaner. All right. We have gone over some of the trading review tools. We've gone over the time frame as well, so you understand a little bit more what the time frames are. Next up, we're going to go over like some of the indicators and then candle anatomy after that. Last but not least, we're going to break down a little bit about trend, but right now we're going to be focusing on the indicator, and right after we finish indicator, we're going to go over candle anatomy. So let's go back on the chart. So back onto the chart with indicator right here. You want to be able to look up some indicators. Like one that I like to utilize a lot is called FX Market Session by Boitoki. This one right here is what shows you the session levels, highs and lows. So if you click on this, it would appear on your chart. You're going to take some time. So I'm going to go back to the 5-minute time frame. As you can see, this will show you like New York, London, Asia highs and lows without you having to mark it. And it's very non-intrusive, right? If you don't like the orange color, maybe you want to change it, make it more customizable and everything else in between, you can feel free to do that. But this right here will be the marketplace for all your indicator. If you have specific script that you design yourself or you had someone help you design, it will go inside of this section here. If someone has given you access to their script and indicator, this would typically also go here. And if you have purchased one in the TradingView marketplace, it will also go here. You don't really need to worry about these because even myself, I rarely go in this section right here. So this is technically all you need to know when it comes down to indicator. So that's it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next section. All right, now we're going to talk about candle anatomy, okay? This is just going to be breaking down how a candle typically forms. Now, we're looking at a bullish candle. We're going to make it green so it's easier to navigate this. So if I were to ask you, where does a bullish candle typically begins forming, right? Because you're going to add on the chart, you're going to have two type of candle, right? So let's go ahead and copy this and then maybe paste this right here next to it. So his sister is right there. We're going to make it red. So her sister is right next to her. So if I were to ask you, where do you think a candle begins typically forming? If it's a green candle, it opens, where do you think it opens? Do you think it opens at the low of the body or you think it opens at the high of the body? What would you say? It opens at the low of the body. Now, when it opens at the low of the body, where do you think price goes afterward? Does it go up or does it go down, right? Because when you see a candle moving, right? So let's take a look at the current candle forming right here. Let's go on the 15-minute time frame. We see current price forming right here. When the candle is printing, right? It is moving continuously. And then depending on where it opens, if price is away from wherever it has moved on the extreme, right? Because the candle will have two components, okay? Let's go ahead and scroll this back down. The true component in the candle will be what? The wicks and the body, right? The wicks and the body. So if a candle is moving, it moves to an extreme and come back inside of that range of that candle, they will leave behind the wicks, right? The wicks will be the difference between the extreme movement of that candle and then where currently price is at inside of that range candle, right? So all the body represent is simply where do we rest inside of that range in relation to the extreme movement of price for that candle creation, okay? So when this candle began forming, this is essentially what happened. This bullish candle right here opened first here, and then it moved first the extreme to the low. And when it moved to the extreme to the low, at first it looked like this. It looked like a bearish candle, right? It looked like a bearish candle at first. And then once it started moving away from the extreme, remember what I say, as it move away from the extreme, all you want to do is do this, click on this, as you move away from the extreme, because we only moved to this level, right? Let's say hypothetically we're at this level right here, we moved. As you move away from the extreme, this wick gets created because it simply represents where we moved away from, right? Because without that wick, you won't be able to tell how far we have moved away from the open, because the candle opened around this level right here. If you're looking at a bullish candle, most of the time the open is going to be on the lower end of the body, okay? So this is the open of the body. So when the candle first opened here, it moved lower all the way down here. And as it moves up and we completely flip past the open of that candle, this is going to flip. And the moment this flips, immediately flips once you get back above the open, it flips from bearish to bullish now. And then as we expand, this remain bullish. And then it goes all the way up here to this high. And then I'll let you guys take a guess what happened next. It flips back bearish and then eventually create the opposite wick right here that we have. And this is how typically your bullish candle will form, okay? And then the close will happen here, okay? Very, very simple. Now, for a bearish candle, it will be completely the opposite, okay? So where do we open? We will open actually at the top, right? For a bearish candle, the open of that candle will typically be at the top of the body of the candle. Remember, we have wicks and body. The wicks simply represent the extreme move of that candle, right? usually after the open or after it has formed either the high or the low, right? The other extreme as well. So that means that the same thing happened here. We opened here at first, it looked bullish, right? So if you had to take a guess, the first few minutes of this candle opening, you would think that this would have been a bullish candle. But it pushed up only up to this extreme right here. And then once it pushed to that extreme, once we started to flicker back inside of that range, guess what happened? Maybe we're here, we start flickering back inside. Then as we move away from that extreme, all that's left behind is a wick, right? To represent the body, right? Where the body is in relation to how far we have moved away from the extreme. And then we're coming back to the center, to the center or to the open, I should say. And then we're flickering back here. And then the moment we flick past that, this candle immediately flip bearish. The moment we flick past the open here, it flick back bearish and it all the way back down, come back down here, and then same thing, right? The moment we move away again from the extreme and we come back inside, it leaves this wick behind, and now this becomes our close, okay? And this is actually what you call accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, because for a candle to essentially form, right, the wicks of that candle, right? Usually for the body, for the bullish candle, for this body to begin expanding, like the way you saw it expanding here, once it moved to the sell side or lower side of the candle, or the open of that candle, to the upper side, it has to first do what something called accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. When the body of the candle starts flickering and push back up here, it is essentially now distributing. So first it manipulates, find the extreme of the candle, right? Once it has found the extreme, next thing is like anticipating where this complete flickering gonna happen. Imagine if you cross back above this open, now price has a strong chance of now beginning moving in your direction and completing the expansion of that body, right? If you're going to be bullish. So that's the anatomy of a candle, and those are the different phases of it, right? From the open to the creation of the extremes and the creation of the body, and typically how a bullish and a bearish candle will form. So I hope this was a relatively good breakdown and give you a good insight as to how this typically forms. All right, next up, and last but not least, we're going to go over how to place a position. I have gone over this earlier, but I'm going to just briefly touch on this before closing out the trading basics. So I think after watching this, you guys should have a clear idea how to navigate TradingView and have a good foundation when it comes down to trading. Now, there are multiple ways on how to place a position. The way for me that I liked a lot to place a position is utilizing the buying and sell tools. If you go to like projection arc section here, I want to place a long position. What I typically do is move the buy or sell tool here. I'll move my stop loss to where my stop loss need to be. Maybe it's here. I'll move my take profit maybe to this level. This is where my take profit would need to be. Then I'll double click on this tool and I'll simply come in here and change the risk. So I'll go here and change the risk amount. If I want to change the risk amount to $800, right? And I click on OK. Now I'm on NQ, right? It would tell me that to risk $800, my quantity is actually 0.17. Now, if you're trading on micro chart, right, you can't really enter decimal. You can only enter whole numbers. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know the gist, right? It's the same thing also on the micro chart. So you're going to have two type of chart within the future space, okay? So you're either going to have the mini chart. Mini chart is NQ, or you're going to have the micro chart. The micro chart is going to be this one. Is going to be MNQ. So just think about the mini chart as the main chart, like the parent chart, right? Now, if you want to break down your risk into smaller portion, you want to go to the mini chart. What I mean, break down your risk into smaller portions. So first of all, let's even go back to the other chart. How much did it say? It says 0.17. How can I enter 0.17 contract? I cannot enter 0.17 contract, but that's what I need to risk here, right? Obviously, I cannot do that because I need to enter at least one. And if I enter one contract, I'll be risking damn near 6 times more than whatever I need to risk on this position. So how can I enter this? Now, one mini, the beautiful thing that how you can do this actually is that one mini contract, right? one mini contract is actually 10 micro contract. One mini contract is 10 micro contract. So that means that if right here they're asking us to enter 0.17 minis, you simply need to multiply times 10, and then it will tell you how many you need to enter on the micro chart. So since it's asking us to enter 0.17, 0.17 mini, right? 0.17 mini, that means that it's going to be 1.7 micro. Simple, right? So that means that if I want to enter this position, I need to go into the micro chart and simply enter. So go to MNQ. I already know where my stop loss is. I already know where my take profit is. So stop loss was somewhere here, and then my take profit was somewhere all the way up there. Here in the micro chart, I cannot enter decimal as well. So I can either enter 1 micro or I can enter 2, right? Just round it up. And what I would like to do in this situation is just round it up. You close it first. I click on this. I click on 2. And if I want all the level, like the stop loss and then the take profit, which is the limit order and then the stop order to appear here, you simply click on it. And then the low is where, just ensure that it's actually showing correctly, 24,984 for the stop loss. So the stop loss, you need to double check that and ensure that it's correctly showing. 24,984. Okay, now is it showing? Take profit. I'm going to modify this as well. 25,000, let's say 20. I need to update this as well. 25,000. Oh, it's actually 24,985. Right? And I place buy. Boom. So past has now kicked me into the position. And I have made sure that I'm close as possible to the risk for whatever I'm risking right now. And I'm able to hold the position. Okay. So whenever you're calculating risk, if you're only supposed to risk X amount and then your micro chart does not allow you to do that, or I would say your mini chart is not allowing you to do that, you want to switch over and go to your micro chart, and that's how you're going to be able to get into your position and being able to trade. So with that said, that is all. This was quite a crash course video. I didn't want to make this too long, but I realized that it's probably going to be regardless. I hope you guys find some tremendous value in, participating and watching this from beginning to end. And if you found tremendous value watching this, let me know in the comment section down below what was your biggest takeaway. Some of the breakdown on trend and trend phases. I know I did not go over that specifically. You are going to really find more of that even in the core concept. So that's why I felt like it was not really needed to go over that. So today I've gone over the actual tools that you're going to need to essentially know how to trade, how to place a position, how to navigate and do market analysis. This was really what this video was for. So I didn't really want to kind of expand too much on technical stuff in regards to the actual trading concepts. So all that is going to be covered in some of the core concept section down the line. So just practice entering position, navigating your chart, understanding how to place a buy sell order, making sure to utilize some of those tools, place an alert, vol replay. Just get familiar with how to utilize these different tools, switching time frame, watching candle prints, and operate, forming a bullish candle, forming a bearish candle. Just get familiar with just basic concepts. If you're still brand new, this is going to be very, very important. And you're going to cherish this period of time where you're just starting a brand new journey, and then you're getting familiar with how things are supposed to now essentially look like. This is going to be quite an amazing journey. Just enjoy every moment of it, and I hope this was able to add value to that journey in helping you understand how to get everything going. So with that said, I have nothing else for you today, and I hope you guys found tremendous value in this, and I'll see you in the next video. Till next time, peace.